When I was a little kid, in this time of the year, near Christmas, I used to play with my sister this game because it was the only way to decide who's going to clean and who's going to crack the nutshells. And of course, it was me who was the nutshell cracker. In my childhood, the most difficult thing, or this is what I thought, the most difficult thing in life was to crack a nutshell. But not in any way and in any fashion. To crack it like my grandfather used to crack it, with his bare hands. Now, how many of you can crack a nutshell with your bare hands? We have some strong people in the audience tonight. In order to crack a nutshell with your bare hands, you need to have strong arms, strong grip. You know, it seems to be such a simple task. For me, it's very difficult. But do you know what seems to be simple but very difficult? To stand in front of you, to speak to an audience, is incredibly difficult. Because you need to expose yourself every time. You need to share to the audience how do you see life or how the world looks like from your universe. You need to have technique, vocal variety, structure, and so on. Or this is what I thought 7 years ago when I joined Toastmasters. I needed to tell all the extraordinary stories about the universe, about climate change. I wanted to have an extraordinary experience. But everything I did was to focus on what I don't have. I always thought, I need to have that technique. I need to have that kind of structure. I need to have that kind of speech. But everything I did was just to observe others and do nothing. And one year, when also was near Christmas, I remembered my grandpa, who was cracking nutshells with his bare hands. And me, I wasn't able to deliver any speech. I remember perfectly what he said. He said, "George, you need to use your hands." But Grandpa, I don't have the power to do that. Do you really know what you have? Do you really know how to use it? And in that moment, ladies and gentlemen, he did the most amazing thing. He reached out and he asked me, "George, which one is more difficult? To crack a nutshell with your bare hands or to find out what you have in your life and use it? If you want to crack a nutshell, you don't need strength, you don't need power. You just need the stone that I had in my hand, which I used to crack nutshells with it." In life, it's not about what you have, it's about how you use it. In that night, I remembered my grandpa's lesson, and that was the only night when I truly understand it. I did not care about fancy structures, about fancy speakers. I did not chase extraordinary stories. I started to find the extraordinary in my own stories. Because it's not about what you have, it's about what you do with it. And I started speaking about all kinds of stuff. I had a story about how I found a cat. I had a story about how my father inspired me to go to college. I started extracting the extraordinary. And do you know how? I learned to be honest. I learned to be vulnerable, to speak what I believe. Because it's not about what you have, it's about what you do with it. And one of those stories brought me this year, not once, not twice, but 3 times to the national stage, which I never believed that I'm going to achieve. Because it's not about what you have, it's about what you do with it. My grandpa left me with the greatest message that I ever heard. He told me that everything is difficult in life, but not everything is impossible. So, ladies and gentlemen, which one is more difficult? To crack a nutshell with your bare hands, or to enjoy your next speech? Because it's not about what you have, it's about what you do with it.